Well, 8:13 right now. The road to the White House has hit a few bumps for some candidates, namely GOP candidate Ben Carson, who made some controversial comments about Muslims and the presidency.
So do you believe that Islam is consistent with the Constitution?
No, I don't. I do not. I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
And would you ever consider voting for a Muslim for Congress?
Congress is a different story, but it depends on who that Muslim is and what their policies are.
Well, joining us to discuss this is Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, the founder and president of the American Islamic Forum of Democracy. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Your thoughts on Mr. Carson?
Well, I think, I'm, as a reformist Muslim who believes we have a lot of work to do within the House of Islam, I'm sort of getting whiplash. The current administration has ignored the entire issue within the House of Islam, won't even mention that ISIS comes out of a radical fringe within the House of Islam, and now we've overshot. I think Ben Carson has qualified his remarks since then, I think appropriately, and amended them and said, this is about theocrats. He should have said Islamists, not Muslims, because Muslims like myself serve in the military, believe America gives us more freedom than anywhere else in the world, and are patriotic. So not only is it about being president, but it's about having security clearances. Yes, Islamists are a threat, and it's a huge world movement that we need to counter, and America is uniquely suited to do that since our roots are about fighting theocracy. But this is a great conversation that we need to have.
And I was just going to ask you that. Perhaps he misspoke. Yeah. But is it important that the conversation is now out there so that you can differentiate?
Absolutely, because the reason this kind of conversation is important, Javier, is it's not just about a Muslim for president. There's nobody running that's Muslim. But the issue is strategy in the Muslim world, a quarter of the world's population. Are Islamists our enemies? Yes, they are. Are Muslim reformers our allies? Absolutely, and American Muslims are key to that. So they're both our assets, and also Islamists are our enemies. And nobody's having this conversation, and I think the constitutional principles and a discussion of that will educate Americans about that.
He switched up his comments yesterday, saying that he would support a Muslim for president, but he also said that we are politically correct and are being policed by this culture.
There is a lot of that, and I'll tell you, my work is suppressed because you have so-called leaders of our faith community who call for his removal from the race, and any conversation about Islam gets obstructed because of what they're trying to do is enact blasphemy laws in America by suppressing any criticism of strains that create ISISes, that create the Muslim Brotherhoods, the Khomeinis of Iran. Large movements of hundreds of millions of people around the world are fueled by political Islam. If we're going to have that conversation in America, which is the best laboratory to do that, we have to have leaders that can do that and not fear political correctness.
Some have asked him to step down. What do you think?
Absolutely not. I mean, listen, Mr. Trump has made worse statements, and if anybody should step down, I would think it would be him. Now, Dr. Carson has not done, I think he's learning about these issues, and as he learns about them and amends his remarks, I think America's learning, and I don't see any reason why he should step down.
Now, let me just read you some responses because they went down the campaign trail. Mr. Trump said, many people out there still believe that, in reference to Mr. Carson's comment. Hillary Clinton said a Muslim can be president, and then said, now let's move on. Carly Fiorina says, I'm fine with a Muslim being president. Ted Cruz said, excluding Muslims is unconstitutional.
Absolutely.
Your thoughts overall?
That's Article 6, and I think this is a good conversation, but I hope it expands beyond simply the presidency, but what is our strategy against the global threat domestically and abroad? How can Muslims be our allies, and which Muslim organizations are our enemies and should not get clearances, such as Islamists that believe in all Islamic states and theocracy? That's what I want them asked about, and so far many of the candidates really aren't articulate about that.
All right, a conversation we certainly need to have. We thank you very much for taking the time.
Anytime. Thanks, Javier.